Good evening, San Diego. I'm Chief Meteorologist Carlene Chavis, and thank you for tuning in for your CBSA Plus weather update. Well, if I tell you it's humid outside, you wouldn't be surprised. You've been feeling it over the past few days. We've been dealing with monsoonal moisture, and we've also seen it in the form of those cumulus clouds building up over the mountains. Now, we're still looking at that pattern for tomorrow and a little bit of a change up in the forecast as we hit Thursday. Now, we still have a chance when it does come to the afternoon and evening hours for some of that monsoonal moisture to manifest into thunderstorms. And so chances we'll be holding on for showers and storms before 7:20. That's because 7:20 is our sunset time. We lose a lot of the heating of the day once we get closer to that period, and once we get past it, that's when we start to have those chances really drying up. So we're still looking at this for Wednesday as well. We have an influx of tropical moisture from what will be a post-tropical system at that time, and that's going to send some cloud cover in our direction, even the potential of seeing some hit or miss shower activity. Also talking about drier days, and that's going to be past that. So by Friday, all the way through the weekend, Labor Day weekend at that, you are looking at temperatures that are also going to be on the warm side, pretty consistent into Labor Day on Monday, and then dry conditions, a lot more sunshine in that forecast. Now, we did have some big cumulus clouds that were building up over the mountains. This is the view looking north from Julian. Now, you're starting to see it flatten out just a little bit more. That's what happens when you lose that heating of the day. And so we're not seeing those big cumulus clouds that we saw earlier that gave way to some showers, and also seeing an isolated cell or two. Now, that was north of Borrego Springs, where we did have a flash flood warning, but that has since expired. You've been seeing it across the mountains as well as the desert, and that has been over the last several hours when it comes to activity in the form of some scattered showers, as well as seeing an isolated thunderstorm or two. Into tonight, even for the high desert, they are dealing with a stronger cell at a slow pace of about 5 miles per hour, and that is picking up on some heavy rainfall, some gusty winds upwards of about 60 miles per hour, and some quarter-size hail near 29 Palms. But overall, things are going to be pretty quiet for the rest of tonight, and then we get into our forecast for tomorrow as well as Thursday. When we look at our overnight lows, widespread with those 60s yet again in the forecast, and also some 50s out there. You have 59 degrees expected for Ramona, the same for Mount Laguna and for Campo, and 78 degrees for Borrego Springs. We have a high tomorrow of 99 degrees for Borrego Springs, still a pretty warm high, and also talking about being a little below seasonal for this time of the year. You have widespread 80s and also some 90s popping up, so widespread with those 80s across inland regions. You're seeing that for the mountains. You're also seeing 88 degrees for Escondido, 86 degrees for La Mesa, those 70s locked in right there along the coast, but we're also going to see a lot more of those 80s as we go into the weekend. But for tomorrow, you have 80 degrees, and that's going to be the high for Oceanside, even low 90s for Valley Center and for El Cajon. Your surf forecast, about 3 to 5 feet and a high risk of rip currents at our local beaches. Okay, so let's talk about the tropical moisture aspect. That's going to be on Thursday. We are tracking Juliet. Juliet has maximum sustained wind speeds at 65 miles per hour, moving towards the northwest at about 10 miles per hour. Juliet is going to move into some much cooler waters along the eastern Pacific. As a result, that leads to weakening. But because that's going to be happening, you're going to have a leftover system. And so a lot of that moisture is going to be streaming in across the eastern Pacific, getting closer towards us as well. As a result, a lot of cloud cover building in. That's going to be late on Wednesday night, carries all the way into most of our Thursday, and then we don't see the sunshine until we get to about Friday. So mostly cloudy conditions are expected in the forecast. Now, some models are suggesting that we would see a big influx of moisture. That would be during the time frame of about Thursday. Well, other models are actually backing off and just showing a lot of cloud cover. At this point, I'm just going to say there is a chance we could see some scattered showers in the forecast, mainly on Thursday. Chances start to go up once we get past about 11 p.m. tomorrow night and stay elevated for about a 24-hour period. Then we get to Friday, and that's when things start to dry out a little bit more because a lot of this moisture is going to be moving out, and then we have an area of high pressure that brings in a little bit more of that warmth and some dry air. So as we hit Friday, that's when we have the clearing. So that's when we start to dry out a little bit more. Not necessarily talking about an influx of monsoonal moisture in our forecast, but you can see that arch right there with that area of high pressure creating that ridge. And so as a result, drier conditions are expected, and then we get to something a little bit more seasonal by next week when it comes to our temperatures. So when we look at the next 7 days, you have those 70s for tomorrow for the coast, widespread 80s starting on Thursday, and those 80s stick around all the way through our Labor Day weekend. 79 degrees is expected by Monday for Labor Day, the actual holiday. And then you also have some temperature changes when it comes to the inland valleys. The low 90s for tomorrow. You're back into the 80s. All that cloud cover is going to block out some sunshine. So as a result, temperatures will be slipping a little bit, and then they go right back up again once that moisture does move out. So back into the 90s. That will be on Friday for the inland valleys. You keep those 90s around all the way through Labor Day. 88 degrees looking to be the high on Tuesday of next week. When we look at mountains, you have a chance for some wet weather in the forecast. That's going to be on Thursday, and temperatures coming back down into the 70s because of that abundant cloud cover. You're back into the 90s by Sunday, and then you're back into the 80s on Labor Day. 99 degrees for tomorrow. That will be for the desert. Only a subtle slip with temperatures for the desert as you go from 99 to 97. That's going to be on Thursday, but you're right back to triple-digit heat starting on Friday. I hope you have a great night, and thanks for tuning in.